Hi guys, Alex Peak Performance Reviews. Welcome to another vlog and welcome to another car review. Today I find myself in the new Jeep Avenger, and I have to confess right now, I have never actually driven a Jeep in my whole life. To be fair, in the UK market, they hadn't been around for a long time, but it's very an American thing. But they've come to Europe and they're very Europeanized. But you can see that they don't look so American anymore. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but obviously what that translates to is that you've got a more kind of normal car and not an off-road vehicle. You'll see that I'm kind of in an area where you probably would go green lane in typically, but you're not going to do it on those tyres. So this is more of a kind of possible daily kind of car, and at 40 kind of K, is it a good option? Real WTP range is around 249 to up to 340, so it should be really good on the range. But yeah, I'm going to let you know mainly about how dynamically good it feels, if it does at all, how it brakes, how it handles, etc. And more importantly, to see whether I like it and whether I would recommend it. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much more about the car, but I'll tell you about it in car. Without further ado, yeah, let's go drive. To be fair, before I go and drive, I'm going to talk you around or show you around the car a little bit. The boot space is not huge, but it's a really decent size. Cable's here, but there is under kind of floor space, so that would go under there with no problem, but it's here. Very decent sized boot, so it does look like a very livable car. In the back, there appears to be really good headroom. I've heard that it does cater for easy a 6 foot kind of person in the back here. Maybe if you get someone beyond that, 6'4", 6'5", you may start to hit the roof line. But other than that, it's really nice. Nice, decent size foot space. And the interior is really good. I'll talk more on that in a mo and when I'm going on the drive. But as you can see, there's a really nice clear display on the centre console and just in front of you. Some lovely figure hugging bucket seats and some physical buttons, which I always like. I'll tell you more about that on the drive. But yeah, it is really, just moving the car a little bit, it is a really simple, straightforward car to use, which I like. And in general, I'm sure you'll agree, it's actually a really striking, good looking car. I really like it. I think these all nearly all have the heat pump as standard, which will boost up the range. Basically sucks in cold air, compresses it, and then changes the temperature and manipulates the temperature of the battery to give it better range in all conditions. So yeah, as I said at the start in the intro, and I wanted to confess, I have never actually driven a Jeep before in my life. Now, it shouldn't be too surprising because obviously in Europe there wasn't really much about in Jeep as a manufacturer. Obviously it's a very American brand, but obviously it's now come over in Europe and through Stellianis Group in Europe. And yeah, it's started to look like it's doing quite well in Europe, and I have to say it's really come on as a brand. And finally this Avenger has actually been the first car that I've seen that I actually really like the look of, and I really wanted to get myself into. In terms of kind of looking at dynamically how it is, I'm really intrigued. And before I go on to that, it is worth noting there is like so many different drive modes. Obviously I'm going to drive this car mainly in sport. There is sports, there's normal, there's eco, there's sand, mud and snow. So I laughed and joked about not being able to green lane this thing. I suspect, even though it is on kind of a more streetable tyre, I suspect it still must have special capabilities in terms of being able to, you know, work on those certain surfaces, which is quite crazy really. And you'll probably see in the brake regen, I'm getting quite a lot of brake regen. If I accelerate, the front wheels are working now. And decel. And if I decel loads and then go from a standing start pretty much, then nail it, you can see the front wheels are working. Being front wheel drive, you wouldn't expect it to kind of be like an all-wheel drive car, and you will see those road tyres on it, so it's very untypical Jeep like, but it's more a kind of car that you can daily and enjoy. And I think they're trying to get into the European market by not kind of pigeonholing it into one type of genre or having one type of ability. It's meant to be a very multi-ability car. So yeah, I'm going to push this on. I love the fact that it's got loads of physical buttons. There is some touchscreen things that you can do on this as well. Very, very intuitive and very nice screen. All kind of 360 degree and drone camera for parking. Really, really nice. And in general, like I say, even though this is, and I did say it on my intro, it is a £40,000 car, which is, you know, in even today is quite a lot of money. It does really feel very, very premium. Everything in hand feels high quality. It feels really sturdy. Nice flat bottom steering wheel with this leather steering wheel. And it does feel really, really good. All the you know, the plastics and hard materials and the metals feel really, really nice, and it feels really, really well buttoned together and put together. No rattles and nasty shakes. It sounds very quiet in here. Like I say, there's no rattles. So the quality and the refinement feels really good. The suspension is absorbing these lumpy, bumpy B roads that I'm on at the moment, and it's doing a really good job. I love these bucket seats. They're really, really nice. This car has loads of cup holders, loads of cubby holes, bin space and storage. So it would be a really, really good daily. It's got everything you can think of. Links in the bio to all of the tech specs, though. I'm obviously more concentrating on how this car feels dynamically. And so far, I'm really impressed. One thing I do like, some people prefer really, really light steering. I don't. I prefer it to have a bit of weight, and this does. What that gives you is, even though it's an EV and it's electrically assisted, it doesn't feel like lifeless. You get a lot of feedback through, you know, your fingers, through your bum, and the chassis really does communicate well with the occupant and the driver, which I like. But I haven't really put my foot down yet much, so let's do that. Like I say, it's not breakneck fast. It's 154 brake horsepower. What are the brakes like? Decent. 0 to 60 is only 9.4, so it doesn't feel like it's going to break any records. You would think that at times it may not get you out of trouble that much with a 0 to 60 of 9.4, because that feels not worryingly slow, but in modern day terms that isn't particularly fast. That being said, to me it feels a good bit quicker than 9.4 seconds. Now I will test that for you. Like I say, it's only got 154 horsepower, so we shouldn't expect too much. But if that gets any less than 9.4, which I kind of feel like it will, I'll be really impressed. Because in general this feels really nice. Like I say, the quality feels good. It's the bonnet stays nice and flat. Let's have a under braking. It feels good. It doesn't feel nervous when you brake mid corner a little bit. Just feather. Yeah, the chassis feels fun, relatively playful. It feels like it can rotate or wants to rotate if you invoke it into doing that. Let's see how it goes over here. Check the brakes. They're good. They take a little bit of force and a bit of pedal stomp to get a lot of braking, but they're really decent. And yeah, you can feel that the car is higher up than some, you know, sports vehicles. So under braking you can feel the suspension is relatively soft, not too soft to be unnerving under braking, but you can feel that it is relatively soft. But look, this isn't built as a sports car, so it shouldn't be. But I'm just testing the brakes again. I'm really impressed with them, and in general it's very, very sprightly, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the 0 to 60 shows us. But in general, this is a really encouragingly fun and agile, good car, I have to say, and I love it. It looks great, exterior and interior, and it feels like a quality bit of kit. Now, I did touch on it earlier on. The WLPT range is 242 to about 340 miles. Now, this has been getting the equivalent of 175 miles from its tank, but while I've been driving it, very, very fast. But looking at the average consumption, it's actually been doing about 240, which considering that I'm on a media day and basically press have just been going out in it, and I know that when press test, they're not gentle with it because they haven't got enough time to do these range tests. They're hard and fast with it, and they push the car. So even then, in those conditions, this is returning somewhere there or thereabouts of 240. So it's very, very impressive. So it's definitely frugal on the electricity or electric usage. So that's very, very encouraging also. And as a place to be in a car to live with, there's a lot of space in the rear as well as the boot, which is really, really ample and very impressive. So I can imagine this would be a really good, fun daily that would tick all the boxes, that has a great bit of quality. So yeah, well done Jeep for that. I'm going to push it on a little bit more, check the handling out a little bit more, and I'm also going to get you a 0 to 60 test in a moment also. Let's do a 0 to 60 mile/hour pull. Ready, 1, 2, 3, go. Takes a little bit to kind of get going. 154 horsepower. And brake. So book spec is 9.4 seconds, and we have nailed a 8.5. There you go. Now I thought it could do better. Do you know what, if you had traction control off, I think, which a lot of the time these cars do tend to kind of hold themselves back a little bit because of traction issues. I wouldn't say traction issues, they're trying to really rein in the power. Then I think it'd do even better, but straight out the bat, very easily, it's just banged out an 8.5 second 0 to 60. So let's do one more. Let's try it again. Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. That was a bit better. Still feels laggy, if that makes sense. It's not going to be laggy because obviously it's no engine. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Come on, Jeep. 100. There we go. 0 to 60. 8.3 seconds. Woohoo! Like I say, it's nothing crazy and nothing insane to write home about, but that is absolutely phenomenal. This car is meant to book 0 to 60 in 9.4 seconds, and it has just nailed 0 to 60 in 8.4 seconds. So 8.3 seconds, sorry, 8.31 to be exact. So I think with a bit of work and maybe, you know, turning traction control all the way off, I reckon you could get this even in the lower 8s. So it's way quicker than Jeep make out. It's a big car. It's not aerodynamically, you know, particularly good. So as such, or at least I wouldn't expect it to be. But nonetheless, 8.31 seconds. So really, really good. But one thing I haven't done yet is really push the handling. So let's do that a little bit more now. Let's kind of see what it's like down here. Yeah, you've got a bit of body roll because it's a big car, it's heavy, it's a little bit off the ground, almost like, you know, SUV like, or, you know, off-road all-wheel drive kind of car like, but it doesn't feel nervous at all. You can feel a little bit of roll, a little bit of body roll, but nothing untoward and nothing you know, nothing horrid. But it doesn't feel nervous with that roll at all. It feels, if anything, it actually feels really accomplished. It doesn't feel nervous. It doesn't feel like it's gonna you know, get you involved in a crash. It's just let's push it on a bit more. It's really good. There's a lot of grip there, a lot of grip. It really is good, I have to say. It really is good. And it's enjoyable as well. It's not just good and accomplished and grippy. Some cars like that can be very, very boring, very neutral, even with the roll. But it also feels fun, which is great. It's obviously, in my opinion, very, very important. And I kind of, looking at the car externally, I kind of didn't expect that. I expected it to be a very average drive, but it's actually far, far from that. In fact, I'd go as far to say that it's a really, really good driver's car, so to speak. So I'm fussy. People that know me or have followed the channel for a long time will know that I am very, 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 very performance conscious and driver focus conscious. Just listen to that as well. Can you hear that? A really, it's got kind of like a musical note for a indicator. It's brilliant. It's got some character. I like that. But let's push this on really a lot more. Woohoo! Yeah, you got to adjust on the throttle, on the nose. Really good though. Honestly, guys, it is so accomplished, and I'm really impressed. I tell you what, if you were in the market for something like this, and this was the kind of car that ticks your boxes, I have to say you wouldn't go far wrong with getting one of these. I'm really impressed, and Jeep, well done. You have nailed together a very, very good car, I have to say. Hats off. So that is the end of my video on the Jeep Avenger, and I have to say, actually, I really didn't think I was necessarily going to like this car because it conventionally isn't my kind of cup of tea. But then at the end of the day, I don't drive many cars like this. Now, it's not an off-road vehicle like it used to be, but it can still do a little bit of that. Of course, it's only two-wheel drive, so it's not going to be as good as a conventional all-wheel drive car, off-road and all this. However, it's more kind of my typical cup of tea now. And because of that, actually, despite it being around £40,000, as an all-round package, it's a really nice place to be. Inside and out, it's very visually beautiful. It's really well put together. It's really high quality. And in general, it's actually a really fun car to drive. Dynamically, chassis-wise, it has a great... the brakes are decent. And suspension keeps it in check around these fun country B roads. And overall, I can't really fault it too much. So in its segment, I'm going to give it a peak performance reviews rating of 85%. Really actually quite high, and a lot higher than I suspected it would be. In my head, before I started reviewing it, I thought if they've done fairly well on this, it's going to be a 70%, somewhere in that range. Now, I have to say, and I have to mention also this paint colour. I don't know what colour you guys would have it in, but I really, really like this blue colour. I think it suits it really well. And in general, what do you guys think of the car? What are your thoughts? Do you like the colour? Do you like the car as a brand? I love the fact that Jeep owners do this thing where they're called Jeepers, and they do this thing where if they see another car, they do the flash thing, which I've seen on my travels today, actually, which is really nice to see. It's got a great community behind it. And also one of the other things that someone set up some years ago, some owner, they do this thing called ducking. Now, don't take this wrong or get anything wrong by me saying that. I'm going to explain it really, really quickly. They put these ducks in and around and on and tie them onto other owners' cars. And it's just a fun little friendly thing, and it's just what you get with a Jeep. And I think the owners seem to be really, really nice and just friendly, which I love. And that keeps in check with a lot of what I think about this car. It's got a lot of character, a lot of kind of happiness and smiling about it. And I can't put my finger on what it is I love about it so much as such, but I have found myself falling in love with this car, and I really like it. I really rate it. But guys, as always, if you've got any comments, any questions that I haven't covered, please make sure you hit us up and let us know what you want me to answer for you. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As always, like, share, comment and subscribe. We'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.